Let's get together to co-create a breakthrough for freedom of energy, sustenance, healing, and regeneration of the human vessel. Welcome to FESIG, the Free Energy Special Interest Group, where science meets spirituality in the quest for truth and knowledge to free humanity and transform this planet into a paradise.
Hi everyone. Hi. I'm Crystal Goh. I'm the founder and initiator of FESIG, and I have with me Pontus Hefsjer, who's the head of R&D, and Fres Rezo, who's the chair of R&D, teacher, instructor, and James Rink is supposed to be here, but he's busy presenting at the 5D event at Las Vegas. And I would have thought our speaker, Michael, would be there as well, but he's here with us. Yay, that's nice. So everyone of you who are taking time off to attend this meeting, I thank you for choosing to be with us at our 94th FESIG meeting. And today is the 3rd of November. It's a special day because we have special guest speakers. We have a wonderful speaker here whom I will be introducing in a moment. If you could mute yourself, everyone who are attending this meeting, it will be a lot easier. So I don't have to do the editing. Okay, right. So I'm gonna share the screen now. This is FESIG, the Free Energy Special Interest Group. We are a platform where science meets spirituality, and now and again we have very, very special, brilliant speakers who come in to present their work. Well, it could, free energy encompasses everything really. It's not just devices that brings you electricity and power supply. It can be healing, it can be anything, it can be spirituality, that is this energy that is pervading our environment, our body, our system. Right, so today we have me, Pontus, Press, James Rink is absent with apologies. This is, if you go to our website, truevisionofpeace.com/FESIG.html, you see everything there, announcements of speakers, the links to the speakers, everything that you need to know about the speaker is there. Okay, you just click on the links and it takes you there. Right, so today we have the first session speaker, Michael E. Hill, who's the late A.R. Borden's protege. He will talk about 432 Hertz math magic and lost history and knowledge, and many, many, many more very interesting subjects that he'll be talking about. The 432 Hertz is unlocking the magnificence of the 369, 60 base and 12 base minutes, the key to the universe. He published this video in December 2017 and now has more than 2 million views. Well, congratulations, Michael. Free energy and his frequency encoded crystal discs creations and the actual scientific GVD photography that captures the amount of photonic light energy within a droplet of water. Again, this is like a continuation of the subject of water that have been discussed in our early meetings with the successor of Dr. Imoto Masaru, Michiko Hayashi, and Professor Dr. Gerard Pollack, who's one of the 100 most influential people in the world. So we had wonderful speakers, as I say. Keep joining us, and you will learn so much together with us here. And the second session, we have our very own FESIG R&D second team member, John Kane. He's filling in the second session to do a short presentation, which is relative to multi-density Merkaba geometry and thinking outside the dodecahedron, not just the box. Okay, so folks, please pen down on your diary for the 95th FESIG meeting, which will take place on the 1st of December. Okay, I don't know who is going to speak yet, so I can't announce to you, but do pen it down. So if you want to write to me, it's crystal@truevisionpeace.com, and go to our website, truevisionpeace.com /physic.html. I think we have a bit of time, so I'm going to show you a little bit of, okay, that's Michael's Facebook, but I just wanted to introduce, some of you are new here, so you need to see our website so you know how to get in there. I just go through it very quickly. I know our videos, most of our videos has it, but I just want to say, if you scroll down.
I can tell. Oh,
sorry.
Cool. I thought you were going to my website, and somehow it's.
I
got an issue with it.
Our website first. Your website is down, right, Michael?
Yes, I'm looking into that. It's kind of suspicious, but yes.
Oh, okay. They try to take you down, right? Oh dear. All right. So this is our website, but you can see join us, and if you got some extras, you can pay forward to us, because we need money to do this work. Well, everyone does. And then if you scroll down, you see the announcements. Well, we have a new team. We have a second R&D team now. Hunters has his hands full, but we urge you to join us, because we are exploring. The second team we're exploring. The first team we were exploring what Michael will be elaborating on today. Okay, the base 12 mathematics on the 369 system and all that. So that's very good. So, but the second team, we will be exploring magnetic generating systems. So anybody who is interested in magnetic generating systems and who's got engineering background, electrical engineering as well, please join us. It would be really very, very wonderful if you could, because it would be fun. We're learning together. I know many of you are very resourceful out there. I think together we can make a big difference. Okay, so it's happening every Thursday at 5 p.m. GMT now. BST has changed to GMT, Greenwich Meridian Time, London UK time, with the same physics code. Well, you know, we can change codes, whatever. We want some secrecy. But in this case, we are building the Adams motor generator, which is already open source. So it's fine. Okay. Right, so here we have announcements to Michael Lee Hill. If one click takes you to his website, and I think on the write-ups, I did give your Facebook link as well, Michael, so people can look for you and find you there. So you see Michael then on our website. Again, we have links to his video, the famous video 432 Hertz, Unlocking the Magnificence of the 369, the Key to the Universe. So this one has garnered some more than 2 million views. Wow, congratulations, Michael. And that was published in 2017, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, cool. So there's a write-up of Michael and his synopsis, what he's going to talk about. And then we have John Kane, click on that and it takes you to his website. And of course, the sponsors and the stress. And then if you scroll down, you see our other speakers who had presented. So there you go. All right, so I'm going to take this away now. So we will then... oops, sorry, what's happening? Okay, so I can't even stop share. Oh, there you go. Right. Okay, so now without much ado, I'm going to introduce Michael properly, his bio. Okay. Oh, Michael, needless to say, is very renowned. I just want to say this very quickly. In the year 2006, off my head, year 2006, he published a video on the UFO sightings in Lake Erie, and he did a very good job there because he had garnered a lot of attention. And then suddenly, before you know it, he was hunted by National Geographic and what's the other one is, I think, Fox News, mainstream media, basically. And then he did a film with David Sarita, who's one of our speakers as well, From Here to Andromeda, Chariots of Fire and Orbs of Light. And then he was hunted by the media. So then everybody got to know what Michael is up to and what he does and who he is. And in year 2008, Michael had a face-to-face meeting with the Anunnaki. This is the real deal, folks. I mean, this is not just sighting. Michael actually was brought to meet the ETs, right? Well, if that's what you know by them. Okay, so that's it. And then in July 2008, he was on a camping trip, Sirius Rising, and met the AMI. But Michael will tell you more about that later. Okay, so now, Michael's footage of Lake Erie UFOs has created a Billy Meyer-like buzz, and Michael seems to have developed an intuitive relationship with these crafts. In his home state of Ohio, Michael has been cataloging video after video of UFOs over Lake Erie. The phenomena consists almost entirely of pulsating orbs of light, unusual light seen changing colors, converging, separating over the lake. Stories of the unexplained phenomena date back over 150 years to the indigenous North American Indian tribes. Right, so I think that's it. I think I need to hand over the microphone. Oh, no, sorry, that's not it. Sorry, I missed the first part of his bio. Michael Lee Hill is an award-winning musician, a filmographer, and a UFO experiencer who incorporates cosmic harmonic frequencies into his music gained from his communication with those not from here. Michael speaks on the indigenous connection with star beings and the wisdom gained in those communications. The key factors of his presentation today include numbers as well as base 60 and base 12 maths, which we are very interested in. Thank you, Michael. And he talks about time itself, the Earth 25,920-year precessional cycle, the physics of creation, learn how the Anunnaki communicated through recent crop circles discoveries regarding the 432 base technology. Right, and then I think Michael will be talking about the living holy water as well, which is so useful and so good for us. Right, thank you so much, Michael. Over to you. Would you take up the microphone now?
Well, thank you so much for that intro. And thank you for having me here and being able to share. Well, where do you think we should start?
However you feel like, wherever.
Well, I guess the reason we're even talking is when the History Channel approached me because of my footage going viral, and they said, you know, we're doing a show on sky watchers, and would you like to be part of our show? You'll have about 5 minutes. I said, yeah, sure, you know. And so they came and filmed me. And what I didn't know is right before they got to Cleveland, Ohio, where I lived at the time, they had interviewed a Marine, and his name was Terrell Copeland. And they had found out that he had filmed the exact same orbs of light, chariots of fire as myself, was given the same spiritual bed of info, which is that the law of attraction, you know, in a nutshell. And same kind of spiritual message given, but like I said, they had found this unknown blood anomaly. So the History Channel thought, wouldn't it be strange if these two guys that don't know each other, that have this very similar story, same footage, wouldn't it be weird if they both had this blood anomaly? So without telling me, which they were very smart because I'm a big baby and I don't like needles, they asked me if I'd be willing to come to Boston to have an update to my story. And I was like, all right, sure. Well, what I didn't know is they're flying me and Terrell to Boston to have our blood work and medical work done up by a Harvard professor whose name was David Sistrom. So when I got there, they took us to the hospital and I had to act like a big boy, and it didn't hurt to get stuck in the arm. And, you know, skip forward, what they found was I had the same blood anomaly as Terrell. And what it is an increase in the enzyme creatine kinase, CK for short. And everyone's brains release CK, and the normal amount is 25 parts per liter of blood. And once, say you've had a heart attack or muscle damage, it can jump up to about 300 parts per liter of blood. And that's because creatine kinase brings oxygen into the bloodstream to facilitate healing. It will bring oxygen to that wounded part of your body. So, and the oxygen helps in the healing process. Well, like I said, if normal amounts are 25 parts per liter of blood, what they found in my blood was 2,100 versus 25, which would end up with my blood being super oxygenated. And so at this point, and like I said, I asked them, well, wait a minute, what do you mean I don't have normal human blood? And he's like, well, what do you think unknown means? I was like, well, all right. And he's like, see if you can contact your own personal doctor or something, maybe they can. He said, if I had to venture a guess, it would be that there's some kind of unknown virus that is tricking your brain into releasing these massive amounts of creatine kinase. And sure enough, when we can get into being brought into the NSA remote viewers, reverse engineering division, that's exactly what I found out. It is an Anunnaki virus that what they call their Nephillim bloodline, which in the Bible, it said it was the Elohim human hybrid bloodline. That's what they did, is cooked up in their laboratory this virus that would trick the brain into releasing massive amounts of creatine kinase, because that creates a large pool of chi or prana or whatever you want to look at it as, because we can get into this later. But, you know, when they created this Nephilim bloodline to come and help steer humanity into the light, so to speak, they tried, and the human vessel was not capable of holding their energetics, and they would spontaneously combust, burst into flames. So as much as you want to help, that's not fun. So they went a step further. What else can be done? Well, they manipulated the genome to have an extra pool of prana or chi available, so the human vessel was able to hold their energetic level. That became known as the Nephilim in our history books and in the Bible. But this led to that episode aired in March of 2008. But I got to tell you what was really weird. You know, he's a New York Times best-selling author. I'm talking about Bill Burns, and he's the one that did the Day After Roswell book with Philip Corso from the defense. He was the host of UFO Hunters, and during the filming of that, which would have been around early 2008 at this point, he out of nowhere said, Michael, I'm really jealous of the role that you have to play as an ambassador between those that are not from here and humanity in the future. And I hadn't met the Anunnaki yet. I was like, what is this guy talking about? What's he on? You know what I mean? But sure enough, you know, everything he said, I think that you're going to be courted by a behind the scenes governmental group that will give you a course of study and help you prepare of meeting your extraterrestrial higher self component to your bloodline. And that's in the actual episode. People can watch it. It's called Alien Contact, and it's UFO Hunters Season 1. And what I'm telling you is, in that episode, you can see him say, you know, I think you guys are being, you know, brought into the secret group. And sure enough, that did happen. So we'll get into that. But the NSA guy that after that did bring me into the group, I asked him, how did Bill Burns know that this would be happening? He said he's a seer, he's a medium. I said, oh, okay, I guess that makes sense. But that leads to the summer of 2008, which you said, like, I was invited to go to this festival called Sirius Rising in New York. And really, I just thought I was going camping, you know. But that is when I met the Anunnaki for the first time. And they said, we want to talk to you about this bloodline that was revealed on the History Channel, because it's truly an indicator that you are of our hybrid bloodline. And we were once known in your past as the Anunnaki. They told me you were once known in our past as Enki, the water bearer. And let me tell you, none of that made any sense to me. There was no ancient aliens on TV. I didn't know what an Anunnaki was, and I surely didn't know what a water bearer was. But now it's very strange because we'll get into this, but Richard Hoagland arranged for NASA to look into my crystal disk creations, and what they found, 432 based, by the way. And he said, Michael, we know your story sounds crazy to most people, but NASA has been looking into how energy flows multidimensionally. He calls it hyperdimensional physics for a very long time. And it just so happens that your numbers are right on the money. So he's the one who arranged for a NASA consulting biophysicist, whose name is Beverly Rubik, to look into my discs. So I sold her one. And what they found was they took a glass of disc here. They just took a glass of regular California municipal tap water. Then they placed it, on a disc containing this cymatic image of the 432 frequency. Just used it as a coaster. So what they did was take 6 photographs at a control without, being on the disc. Put the glass of water on a disc. By the way, the control photographs just look like a little tiny pinprick of light in the GDV photography, which records how much photonic light energy is within the droplet of water. After 15 minutes, this is the actual GDV photography from the biophysicist. As you can see, it's like exploded into a supernova of energy. But what she told me was there's many ways to structure water. You can send it through magnetic fields. You can send it through vortex it and spin it. But in all those instances, yeah, it brings back energy back into the water, but the periphery of the light pattern gets bigger and more diffuse. She said for the first time ever, this technology is, she said, it's almost like taking a magnifying glass, and when you raise it up, the periphery gets smaller and smaller of the circle until it gets enough energy that it can combust and burn the leaf. Well, she said in the same way, the first time ever, they've seen that this technology, in her own words, was turning the light within the droplet of water into a laser beam of energy. And she said, we've never seen it before. I don't know what's going on, to be honest with you. And so I did ask her, well, wait a minute, if there was no energy, in the water droplet, but now it's teeming with energy, where's that extra energy coming from? I said, is it coming from our sun, our planets, our electromagnetic fields of the planets, or tectonic plates? Where's it coming from? She said, no, it's not coming from this realm at all. It's coming from another dimension. So then, that really toasted my noodle. I've never had to ask, what's it mean to be drinking water that has energy from another dimension in it, But what I can tell you is, I'm sure some of your folks know that when you use structured water for agriculture or for growing vegetables, it creates a yield that is impervious to drought. It grows faster. The actual nutritional value of the fruit or vegetable is over twice the value. But what they're telling me is this water will even have a bigger effect on the world's agriculture. And not only that, our human body is 70 to 90% water. And from what I understand, we're truly getting sick and dying in the Western culture because we're drinking dead water. We don't understand that by putting chlorine and fluoride into our water and making it take, left and right hand turns down hundreds of miles of pipes, and we're killing it. And because of that, our bodies are not getting the energy that they need, or hydrated, actually. Even we're dying of being dehydrated no matter how much water you drink, if you're drinking municipal tap water. So this technology has the ability to heal this planet and make it green again. And not only that, our own human bodies. I can tell you a lot of people that have been purchasing my 432 crystal discs. have reported back to me that their eczema and psoriasis skin conditions have totally vanished. I've had a couple people say they've had every medication known on mankind and nothing has worked until they started making their own 432 water. And I can tell you, the NASA consulting biophysicist, she tested 3 waters, by the way. One was tap water, one was Canadian spring water, and the other one was Nevian bottled water. And I have all of that testing data and all the GDV photography, plus they have the software then to put that photography into a computer, and it'll give you all the scientific data of the periphery of the light pattern, how much luminosity is within the light pattern, and just grids and grids of information. I have all of that. I'm just waiting. I'm waiting here, waiting for someone to take this, but I got to share some very unbelievable news with everybody. And that is, you know, if NASA has already confirmed that when you take a cymatic image, this of a 432 frequency, and you incorporate it, encode it into a crystal, and then it's got a copper wrap around it, that this results in an actual device that is not, it's not passive, it's active. This thing's transmitting. Well, I just received notice from an insider and saying, hey, you need to submit your 432 image to Elon Musk's new Heroes of Humanity time capsule that's being sent to the moon in January. And so I did, and it's been accepted. So now imagine this 432 frequency being encased in crystal again, but it's quantum computing nanotechnology of encoding of the image into this crystal disk that will now be on the moon, shining down on this planet for the next 10 million years. I can't even, you know, I don't know, it's very exciting to me of the prospects, because, you know, there's what's called a waveguide. And what I was told is a waveguide, A.R. Borden he's the head of the remote viewers I was talking about. Part of the mission we did was to send information back to the incoming Anunnaki on their planet Nibiru. And he said that, you know, our mental energy may be very small, but just like a microphone, the diaphragm in the microphone is getting a very minute signal, but there's like a transducer or a waveguide that amplifies that input to send out a microphone cable. Well, on his side, he said he was acting as the waveguide to amp up our mental energy for the group of, we can get into the mission that we did in 2012. But so I wonder what happens when this 432 signal that we know it's not passive, it's active, while it's, you know, actually I was told it doesn't even matter whether it's in crystal, because of the water blessing ceremony that I was instructed to do by Chief Golden Light Eagle. He said anything that now contains the image, whether it's, you know, I got pendants made, I've got t-shirts, flip-flops, coasters, anything that contains the image is bringing forth this attribute of holy water. If you know, it's divine water. It's not been touched by human thought form. You see why that's so important when, like Dr. Emoto's work, you know, water is memory, and it's very susceptible by being programmed by human thought form. And when it's negative, there's no crystallization, there's no perfect geometry, snowflake geometry formed. It looks like sludge. It looks like mud. So imagine when water that's been put through a closed loop municipal tap system is just, we're regurgitating those same thought forms. Now think about technology that can hit that water and return its vitality and bring back its snowflake geometry. It's almost like taking a squeegee to the third eye of the mass consciousness. And so I'm really excited for humanity even. And that technology is going to be shining down on this planet for over 10 million years. I wish I should have printed it up. I'm getting a copy of that actual disc that's being sent to the moon. And I'm also getting, it's called a lunogram, and it's the 432 image. And I actually submitted two. One has some data about how the 432 subject math magic has been encoded into Earth's cultures and given to humanity by the Anunnaki back in Sumer, pre-Egypt. And, we can get into that just real quick. How is 432 encoded into our time that we've been given as a gift by the Anunnaki? Well, they gave us this idea of multiplying or dividing whole units by 12. And you just go down the list, 12 apostles, 12 inches in a foot, 12 hours in a day, so on and so forth. But let's 12 hours in a day. Look at how many seconds is in 12 hours. It's 43,200. It's 432. And then I learned from Graham Hancock. He and I became great buddies, and which was really cool to me because he's one of my heroes, And he said, Michael, look at, if you take the height of the pyramid and the length of the pyramid and you multiply them by that exact number, 43,200, you get the actual accurate dimensions of planet Earth, both height and width. And we can get into this, but 432 is also encoded into the pyramid in a miracle kind of way, but we'll get into that here in a little bit. But then you find out that the mound builders, who are the remnants of the Atlanteans or this bloodline that we're talking about, these mound builder sites all across North America, one wall will be 2,160 feet long. Another wall will be 1,080 feet long. Those are octaves of 432. And, 432, just because you got your middle A note on a piano tuned properly to 432, there's still a lower A note, then still a lower A note. And it's really easy math. It's Pythagoras. You divide by 2 or multiply by 2. But the lower octave of 432 is 216. And then 108. 108 is interesting because Tibetan monks have 108 prayer beads on their prayer bracelets, and they'll recite mantras, prayers for 108 times. And then 54, and then 27. This gets into my work with the discs. If you take a 27 hertz frequency, which is exactly 4 octaves below 432, and you put it through a new scientific device called a cimoscope, what you get is a perfect 7-pointed star. This is not computer generated. This is Mother Nature. It's a water that has a very high-tech camera on top of the water, and they're pumping frequency through it. The reason I even came across this is, I got to tell you, when I met the Anunnaki, they told me I was once known as Enki, the water bearer. I do want to get back to that. The water bearer made no sense to me then. Now I can look someone in the eye and go, guess what? I am the water bearer. Would you like to see NASA's scientific data to back that up? But Enki, those names didn't mean anything to me. So in early 2009, I asked the Anunnaki, well, if you are who you say you are, and I am who you say I am, well, encode the name Enki into a crop circle. And I can tell you, I will take notice. I am a student of the subject, and that'll be my confirmation that you are who you say you are, and I am who you say I am. My next thought was, what a silly request, In my mind, I in my third eye, I seen a big birthday cake with like Enki scribbled on the top of it. That's the crop circle. I'm like, what the hell is that going to prove? But then I was like, figure it out, figure out a cool way to encode it. Well, that was the beginning of 2009. Well, 2 years went by and no magic crop circle encoded Enki came. I wasn't really disappointed. I was just, well, it hasn't happened yet. But during that 2 years is when I really started to study cymatics, which is the science of making frequency visible for the first time, And what I've done is track down every note of the musical scale, but tuned properly and the proper cymatic image. Like, for instance, Got a whole stack of discs here. Yeah, this is the cymatic image of a E frequency encoded properly. I had all 7 notes of the musical scale tuned properly. But what had happened was in 2011, early 2011, this crop circle appeared for the first time. And this happened in Italy, in Perono, Italy. And what I found out, see it, there's a 7-pointed star, right? And at the end of the 7-pointed star is a whole bunch of circles, filled in circles. There's 7 of those. That's ASCII binary code, what I found out. And when you decode it, it decodes to Ia space Enki. So I was really excited about this. I'm like, this was their confirmation to me. They did encode the names Ia Enki into a crop circle. But when I asked them to do that, I got cocky. I said, and encode it with something only I would be able to decode. So when this happened, this became a very important crop circle to me. And I created, this is a team I had that took the crop circle image and extracted it in great detail. These are like 4K images. And I had created this disc, and then I created the 7 disc set. The last disc I made was this. And at the time, all I know is I'm like, why does this look so familiar to me? 2 and 2 was not clicking. And I sat there and I tried to figure out why it looked so familiar, and nothing came. And this voice was like, just put it down, don't try to push it, it'll come. So I put it down and I look over to my right. I see this Enki with a 7-pointed star. Well, the tears flowed. It was revelation, because I asked them to encode it with something only I would be able to decode. And that is the 432's frequency connection to the 7-pointed star. Because this bloodline, go to the Cherokee and look at their symbol of their tribe. It's a 7-pointed star. Go back to the world map of Babylon, which is Anunnaki, right? And it sits in a museum right now. It's a 7-pointed star. They've been trying to drip feed us this information that would lead mankind into unlimited free energy, clean energy, and a way to make this planet green again, including ourselves, for a very long time. So right there, it shows me, if they meant us harm, we wouldn't even be talking. Obviously, they're very patient. But if you want, we can go through the rest of it. That was the first crop circle, the Ia Enki crop circle, that started the Anunnaki using crop circles as a sort of chalkboard in this classroom that I had been entered into, which, mind you, I understand now it was part of A.R. Borden, the classroom I was brought into. He specifically said, you're going to be learning about cosmic harmonious frequencies, that to create physical matter, you need specific frequencies. But not only a specific frequency, you need specific frequencies in specific combinations. He said, more than likely in this course of study, you're going to learn the true Pythagorean scale of music from which creation actually comes. And that's when your A note is tuned to 432 hertz. It was Pythagoras that found that's the proper, but what I want to tell you is I also knew whatever the source of intelligence was that was using crop circles, they used crop circles multidimensionally, which means one year they would show you something, but the previous year they might have showed part of that image, but in HD. The Arecibo telescope crop circle is a good example of that. The year prior, they put the communication part of the diagram for that famous now crop circle. It was in HD in the same field, but then the next year they showed the full response to Carl Sagan's sending out of the Arecibo message, hoping for a reply. I don't know why that's not all over the news. It's like, well, we did get a reply. But anyhow, I realized that they used crop circles multidimensionally. So first of all, I realized that the 7-pointed star is directly related to the 7-pointed star. And what I found out was the previous year, in that exact same field in Italy where that Enki crop circle showed up, this one showed up. It's hard to get it without the reflection. First of all, this is the only one of the series that's a 6-petaled image, which is the Merkaba, you know, the Star of David shape. But these circles that have these dots around them, when you decode those, it's also ASCII binary code, and it decodes to E equals MC squared. So right away, I was like, well, what does E equals MC squared have to do with 432? Because, you know, all quantum physicists tell us now everything's both particle and wave. Well, E equals MC squared is the particle part of the equation. It's right there, M equals mass. How does 432 fit into that puzzle? Well, you find out 432 times 432 is C. It is the speed of light within 1% accuracy. 432 based mathematics and physics is the only physics that truly are harmonics of light, those frequencies, and they're the only frequencies that plug into E equals MC squared. So, and then think of this, you know, with the image of the increase of photonic light energy, photonic matter, what I can tell you is now science has come out and said, we now realize that, and we have proof that frequency creates negative matter or negative mass. So when AR said, you know, you need specific frequencies to create matter, it's not E equals MC squared matter, it's negative matter. And when you create, when you use those frequencies that are bringing forth negative matter, it brings negative anti-gravity, meaning that when E equals MC squared matter goes into a field of frequency created by proper attunement, that matter falls up and not down. So I think this also gets into, you know, the gentleman who was created the Coral Castle in Florida and put all these huge megalithic stones, and would never tell anyone how he did it. But you also find the same mythos of Tibetan monks being able to make frequency to float, and, you know, so all the pieces of the puzzle are coming together. But as this progressed, oh, by the way, too, can you see on the Enki crop circle, the end of those, like right there, there's like, looks like a star constellation. There's another one. There's 7 of them around it, and it's 3, 3, 4, 4, 4, 4, 5. It's a very specific sequence of numbers. When you type it in, you find out it's an enzyme in our human DNA called a universal stress protein of how our bodies handle outside stressors like solar radiation, like viruses, you know. I'm sure what they're telling me is when you drink this water, it unlocks this universal stress protein within our human DNA that'll make us more able to withstand this time we're in of increased solar activity and solar flares that we're experiencing. But the next crop circle that happened, I think this was in 2016, was again, they're just, are you paying attention? And I had asked them to encode Enki, and it was another 7-pointed star, but now it's over top of, anytime in Sumer, when you see Enki, he has the eclipse lunar symbol above his shoulder. This is the symbol of Enki, that moon eclipse symbol. And it's all through the Sumerian clay tablets of any depiction of Enki that will be above his shoulder. But again, the 7-pointed star. Now, 2018, this one showed up. Another 7-pointed star, but see these glyphs, the symbols going around it? those are called Baktuns, and they're Mayan calendar long count symbols. And each one of those is said to be 144,000 days long. The reason this is important is this is showing us the true exit of the age of Pisces in the precessional cycle and into the age of Aquarius that's been so prophesied. And the reason is, you know how everyone was thinking the Mayan calendar was doomsday in 2012? By the way, I knew it wasn't 2012. That can't be the end of the calendar because we know they used 432 based math in their calendar and timekeeping. Well, all 432 based physics result to 9, meaning 4 plus 3 plus 2 equals 9. It's lower octave, 2 plus 1 plus 6 equals 9. 108, 9, 54, 9, 27, 9. What I learned from the NASA biophysicist, she said, what we found is if the frequency does not resolve to 9, there's no increase in photonic light energy witnessed or documented. So that was interesting because I thought, well, I went and charted out the whole, every note on a guitar, because just because you got your A string, you know, there's still a B note and a C note and a D note and many different octaves on a guitar. And when I charted it all out, I realized every single note and every single octave on a guitar neck, if you're tuned properly, they all resolve to 9. So they're all bringing through energy from another dimension. But then AR are telling me, well, you need specific frequencies and specific combinations. So I was like, well, how would I ever figure that out then? Because if they're all bringing through energy, what are the specific ones you need? Well, this gets weird because you got to be a musician to understand this, but there's what's called harmonics on a guitar string. And the harmonics between an open 432 and its octave of 864 times 2, along that travel, there's only 3 places on the guitar string that's what's called harmonics pop out. They sound like angelic bells. They're like boom, boom, boom. Any other fret is like, but you get to that 7th or 5th fret, boom, it rings out. So it hit me. These are the notes that you need to create anti-gravity, because this is telling you what are the notes in specific combination that's needed. And like I said, the song I created, Morning Star, is the first song that incorporates these ideas. But getting back to this has 14 Baktun symbols. And the Mayan calendar, they said, people thought it was doomsday because there was no 14th Baktun. They're like, oh my God, the calendar ends, it's doomsday. There's no 14th Baktun because it's truly the first Baktun of the age of Aquarius. And so it wasn't the ending, it was the beginning. It was the end of the age of Pisces and the beginning of the age of Aquarius. And by the way, Aquarius, guy holding a bucket of water, right? Well, look back in Sumer, any depiction of Enki, he had either water erupting from his shoulders or he was holding buckets and pitchers of water, signifying water bearer. And age of Aquarius is the age of Enki. It is what it is. When it's not my idea on the subject matter. But then I went, well, wow, okay, because when I realized 2012 was not the end of the Mayan calendar, it can't be, because it does not resolve to a 9, it resolves to a 5. So I went forward on the calendar, and the next date I got to that actually resolved to 9 was 2016. So I knew 2016 was the end of the Mayan calendar, truly, and our entry into the next prophesied golden age, which was, you know, the age of Aquarius. Well, when you take these 14 Baktuns, and they're each 144,000 days, right? Well, 144,000 times 14 is 2016000000000000. It's 2016. So I was like, wow, confirmation, you know, right from the Anunnaki. This is telling of the 7-pointed star, you know, and the true calendar ending and the beginning of the age of Aquarius. We got a couple more to go with this. So one night I'm laying in bed with, you know, my wife, and this voice would not let me sleep. I was guided into 7-pointed stars, you know. It's like, Michael, you got to get up and divide a circle by 7. I was like, no, I'm going to sleep, quit bothering me. Well, they wouldn't let me go. And I had to tap her on the shoulder. Baby, I got to get up and do some math. It's like, all right, you freak, go ahead, So I go and I type 360 divided by 7, 360, a circle, right? And you get 51.428. So I'm thinking, all right, whatever. And they showed me then in my third eye a circle, and they took their magic astral highlighter and they went from one point of the 7-pointed star to the next. That's 1/7 away around a circle. That's 51.428. So then in my third eye, they showed another one coming up, floating up to it and meeting it. And they said, this is the true arc. It was never an ARK, it was an ARC. This will lead mankind into unlimited free energy. The Ark of the Covenant was said to bring this new energy source to mankind. So instantly I'm like, wow, I wonder what that would look like as a 7-pointed star, this shape. The very next day in the UK, this crop circle showed up. It answered. It's only showing you half of it. I can show you the full image. And one thing I want to tell you, you guys being in the UK, another thing that I was made aware of then is, of St. Michael's ley line, St. Michael and Mary's ley line that goes through Avebury, goes through Stonehenge. Take a look at what longitude line, the actual longitude on planet Earth that it sits on is 51.428. How about that? So this ley line that sits on Earth's latitude line of 51.428, which is forever tied to a 7-pointed star, has crop circles encoding 7-pointed stars along that longitude line. People have been asking, how come these crop circles only pretty much appear in the UK and along the St. Michael and Mary's ley line? It's because if you wanted to put new code into Earth's program, that's probably how you do it, So what had happened with this, this started like, I want to see the whole image. That's just half of those Ark of the Covenant 7-pointed star. So what happened, let's see if I can find it here. Got too many discs laying around. Crap. Oh, I don't have it right here right now, but what it is, with sacred geometry, it's called what's called the seed of life. And the seed of life is one circle in the middle and then 6 around. Mind you, if you take a circle and divide it by 7, you get the 51.428 arc. But if you multiply it by 7, you get 1 in the middle, 6 around, makes what we knew of the seed of life. That when you keep adding circles in and you get to 19, it would create what's called the flower of life. And so what happened was, my dear friend Bear Cloud had released in his book, The 7 Fires, that when mankind understood that the 7-pointed star can replicate itself both forwards and backwards as a whole unit, fractally and mathematically, that we would enter a new time for mankind. And so this year, this is getting really current, right? This year's crop circle season, they put this in the field at 51.428. It's 7-pointed stars encoded within each other as a whole unit. It shows you how fractally it can reproduce itself both forwards and backwards. Because you don't know, is this going up or is it going down? And like a fractal, when you fly into it, there would be another one there. This is 4 steps. But think of the old seed of life, first of all, and people need to know that seed of life is how all of our physical reality is encoded, meaning like cells take on that shape at a cellular form. So from actual cells to galaxies is adhering to that very specific geometry. Now we've been shown the next seed of life, that instead of a 6-petaled seed of life, it's a 7-petaled seed of life. And it's truly so beautiful. I can't believe I don't have that disc here. It took me a long time to get that image made, by the way, because the feng shui of it was causing people to go insane. But finally I got it. And let me see if it's here. Of course, no. The new seed of life is a 7-petaled seed of life that is still all created instead of 1 in the middle and 6 around. That gives you the Star of David layout and the double tetrahedron shape. Now the 7-petaled seed of life, still made all of Vesca Pisces or Piscis, whatever, tomato. Instead of 1 in the middle and 6 around, you take those same building blocks and it's 7 around, and it creates this symbol that we're speaking of. So it's really exciting to me. They're showing us like the next geometric template for humanity's evolution. And it's a 7-petaled seed of life that's all female, by the way. It's all made from curves. And whereas the Star of David, it's all straight lines, it's all masculine. So imagine how much more room that mankind will have to step into to know itself in all ways, because we are all creator, right? We're all one, and it's like we are all that is experiencing itself from an individual point of view. That what I was told is like, imagine if all that is separated itself into billions of fragments, and then we didn't learn anything and went all back to source, and we all said, I love you. It'd just be a big monotone, I love you, but we've all created experiences that weren't even planned of for the original one. Now, when we come back all to source and say, I love you, it's a symphony. There's harmony. There's a beautiful song being sung. So that's pretty much the crop circles that were used in this communication from the Anunnaki through me, through A.R. Borden too. I didn't know that crop circles were going to be used in the classroom. That was a shocker to myself. But they say all this is going to culminate with the eclipse coming up in 2024, that it's not going to be debatable anymore, that they're going to reveal themselves when day turns to night. There's going to be things in the sky that's undebatable, undeniable. All eyes are going to be to the sky, and all cameras are going to be to the sky. So, hallelujah. I got to open this door. It's getting cooking in here. If I look like I'm turning into a tomato, it's why. All right.
Well, you mentioned day turns to night. So there will come a time in year 2014 when is this the same as what they're saying? What 10 days of darkness? No, that's the time.
No. This is in 2024 is the date, and it's another full totality eclipse, like what happened in 2017, where if you're under the path of totality, which is total day to night, you will see day will turn to night. So we can get into this, but I'm on releasing these ancient mound builder artifacts to the world, and they're called the Michigan artifacts. I was gifted Zachariah Sitchin's personal flash drive of things he was interested in at the time of his passing, and these Michigan artifacts were on it. So that led me down that rabbit hole, and now it's amazing. But truly, it said in this upcoming eclipse, when day turns to night and Venus would be visible in the sky, that would mark the time of the Elohim, the mighty ones. That's what the tablet said, and their chariots of fire being revealed in the sky. So really, this is really odd. In 2017, there was another full totality eclipse, and everyone knows about that one. But this one in 2024, they make an X right over the United States, and where X marks the spot is actually Cahokia, the spot of, you know, that ancient mound builder settlement or complex. That's just look up Cahokia. But also that full totality eclipse in 2024 comes over an unknown ancient earthwork in Eastlake, Ohio, which was my hometown and where I...
Full solar eclipse 2024.
Yes.
Oh, shit.
Yes, indeed. So the full totality tract comes right over the unknown Hall of Records earthwork that I'm in the process of revealing to the world. And by the way, in 2020, I'm sure you guys know of the famous Mitchell Hedges crystal skull.
Yes.
I was part of, I actually, not to pat myself on the back, but I knew about this unknown earthwork, and I brought Chief Golden Light Eagle and the crystal skull and its current guardian, Bill Hammond, to the earthwork. And it was really strange because while we were there with the skull doing ceremony, I got a call from a producer from Canada, and he said, I want you to know that the show you and Chief Golden Light Eagle filmed is now went public in Canada. And I didn't know this, but they were part of the Canadian Public Corporation. And they are now teaching star knowledge through a University of Ottawa program. And it's our teachings of indigenous wisdom of meeting star beings. And you know what is star knowledge? It's the knowledge of light and sound and how it creates physical reality. So I didn't know really what I was filmed at. They came to a star knowledge conference in 11/11 in 2019. So while I'm there with the skull, I get the call from the producer telling me we're having this black tie event. Over 300 people are coming to see the hour-long show that we filmed is being presented at the University of Ottawa. And now from now on forward, on equinoxes and solstices, they're going to have, like, they're going to be bringing us over and people can meet us and learn at the University of Ottawa. And they're going to have like big powwow open to the public where people can come and learn. But the reason this is important is also all of this bringing the skull to the ancient earthwork, which, by the way, I found out about it because I had traced the mound builders to Eastlake, Ohio. And I got a call from a guy from the Smithsonian. He said, are you aware that there's still an ancient earthwork that's still intact? I was like, no, you know, I grew up there. No one in the city knows. They used it as a garbage dump. Isn't it fascinating?
So who is the keeper of the Mathematical crystal skull now?
It's Bill Hammond is the new guardian of it. But I'll tell you, because I was under the same roof with it for 4 days, I got to spend a lot of time with it. And you're not allowed to touch the skull, you know, by Bill Hammond. It's just not allowed. You put your hands close, you know, but I sat down in front of it and it said, you need to touch your forehead to mine, third eye to third eye. And I'm like, awkwardly, you know, hey, Bill, this thing just spoke to me and said that, you know, I needed to go forehead to forehead with it. He said, yeah, I know, go ahead, you have permission. So yeah, I did. But this gets into, all of this was filmed. So, and it's filmed by someone prominent in the field, and his name is Ruben Langdon. And he's the guy that brought the stop motion technology to the movie Avatar, where you know, put a suit on and little ping pong balls and you put dots over your face and they can record. That's him. He was actually the stuntman for the main character in Avatar. And so he became really interested in consciousness. So he started a new TV show that's on Gaia called Interview with Extra Dimensionals. So we became friends. He's the one that's doing the new documentary on the Mitchell Hedges crystal skull. So he and I had talked at length, and I told him all about the 7-pointed star and the morning star. The morning star is almost like the hidden history part of the bloodline, because the morning star, Native American Indians have that 4-pointed star that looks like a compass, you know, And one of the artifacts, getting back to the East Lake, is the Smithsonian guy said, I was part of an excavation and we removed a few artifacts out of that mound site that's still at the East Lake Indian Museum. And they tie that location back to ancient Sumer. So I went to the museum and the artifact has the morning star on it. So what happened was just recently, Ruben Langdon contacted me excited. He said, dude, we just filmed this medium, this psychic lady who is just known to be very accurate. And she did a session with the Mitchell Hedges crystal skull. And at the end of it, he said, did the skull give you a message to communicate to humanity? She said, yes, it did. It showed me a 7-pointed star and the words morning star. So that really toasted my noodle because it confirmed to me that it's true. You know what I mean? Like it's the real deal. And it told me I was I guess being Enki, was part of the team that brought it here. Chief Golden Light Eagle said it's actually over 200,000 years old. For those that don't know what the Mitchell Hedges crystal skull is, it's an ancient artifact made from quartz crystal. But Hewlett-Packard in the 1970s took it into their laboratories and put it under a microscope because, they use crystal for everything, computers, watches, whatever. Under the microscopes, they couldn't find any tool marks whatsoever on the skull. And so they're like, this thing shouldn't exist, I was told it was made from sound. That's why there's no tool marks of a lost technology. But yeah, so interesting times are afoot. And boy, the crystal skull too, going third eye to third eye with it, I decided to open my eyes. And it almost shocked me out of my state of mind I was in. It was like looking through a kaleidoscope into a crystalline world. I mean, imagine it's like holding up a big crystal as binoculars, and looking into it. It was beautiful. Like I can't even tell you, but that thing is profound. And I hope everyone gets a chance to sit before it and feel its energy. Can't wait till the documentary is revealed to the planet. It's finished filming now and they're putting it together. So
Michael, thank you so much for
Thank
sharing
you.
with us. Well, would you want to talk a little bit more about the base 60 and base 12 mats?
Yeah, actually it's just our form of counting. It was based on, you could use your hand and 10 fingers, and then like you add the thumbs and it's 12, and you could count down using your hands and digits of how many, your knuckles and stuff, and using your hands as a counting system given by the Anunnaki to the Sumerians is how we got our base 60, 12 based mathematics and counting system. But like I said, it's really interesting when you look into, they gave us this idea of dividing or multiplying a whole unit by 12. The list is so long, 12 is encoded into everything. Like I said, 12 hours in a day, 12 apostles, 12 days of Christmas, 12, 12, 12, 12, 12. And that it was interesting enough because it occurred to me one day, well, what happens when you take our current system of music, which is A equals 440, not 432. What happens when you divide it by 12? What you get is 36.66666666666. It's very close to being a perfect number, but it's not. It's like impersonating sacred geometry while still being an imposter. So then I took 432 and divided it by 12, and you get a perfect 36. And 3 and 6 is 9. And what you find out, the Fibonacci sequence, right? 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13. Every number is derived from the 2 before it. But look what happens when you start a Fibonacci sequence with 3 instead of 1. It's 3, 6, 9. And it keeps growing until about, I forget what place, but it's the only Fibonacci sequence that lands right on 432. 369 implies a Fibonacci sequence that is 432 related and based, which is very fascinating in its own self. And then the whole system of how we, being 43,200 seconds and whatnot. Well, when you look at the system that they gave us for, 12 inches and a foot, and we use that to look at the actual dimensions of the moon and the sun. The moon, I believe it's 1,080 miles across. The sun is 8,640 miles across. Those are octaves of 432. To say that our whole existence is created by 432 math, it's not woo-woo pie in the sky stuff. This is fact, man. Our whole creation of physical reality is being made by 432 based mathematics, which makes perfect sense when you realize if everything is light, which it is, everything that is physical matter is truly light that's been slowed down and become physical. And light is based from 432. Remember, 432 squared becomes the speed of light, meaning 432 squared becomes c squared times mass equals energy. And again, this is energy. Photons is energy. It's light. So I think this proves, and you know what too, this excites me too. What Chief told me was we Anunnaki have the ability to quantum entangle your 432 image to the 432 frequency to this divine holy water that's not been touched by human thought form. And it's truly, I think, the first proof of we live in a holographic reality. Michael Talbot's Holographic Universe is one of my favorite books ever. But, the holographic reality template, or that way of understanding, is all of it contains, the least of it contains all of it. The smallest bit of it has all of the information of all of it. So it seems to me that it proves that a cymatic image, which is just a two-dimensional image of an actual frequency, can contain the actual frequency, just like it's singing it to water and someone else's house. That's a miracle in itself, because I'll tell you what, the scientists from NASA were kind of flipped out over it. This doesn't have any batteries in it or a wire going to it. How is it transmitting some type of information that water is listening to, and it contains the codes of instruction for it to resurrect itself and to revitalize itself? this isn't hearsay. We got all the scientific data to prove this, which gets into the subject too. If this technology can bring through more energy, they said it's truly, let me see if I can find it.
Well, Michael, the bucktoons, the 14 bucktoons around the 7-pointed star emblem, looks like a Stargate, where
Yes.
the portal is open through the fabric of space-time, you're saying, bringing through the energy from other dimension that revitalizes water, tap water back to living holy water. Did you say that?
Yes.
But the scientists were like amazed that that's how it's done, right?
Well, look at the progression of these crop circles and the information that they're giving. By the way, that outside edge, the 7 triangles that makes up the edge of the 7-pointed star on the outside, very interesting that image in Gnostic circles, Gnostic Christianity, is known as the seal of the 7 archangels. Well, who was the head of that team of archangels? Was Archangel Michael, or Saint Michael. So now remember about the 7-pointed star, the 51.428 longitude line making up Saint Michael's ley line that runs through the UK. They told me there's a story waiting for mankind. If you just start at either one of those ends of Saint Michael and Mary's ley line and just go to all the Templar churches and the ancient sites and mounds and pay attention to the artwork and the story that's being presented there's a story, a narrative that's being told. But so you got this first one that shows that our outer edge, seal of the seven archangels, seven-pointed star. The next one that comes along, it's the same outer circle, but now it's encoding the new seed of life. That seven-petaled seed of life that is made out of the Ark of the Covenant arcs, even though it's only showing you half of it. I look at this as like my last teaching, like they're like, show us you're getting what we're putting down. So I couldn't do it actually. To get the actual feng shui of that actual seed of life is not easy. I went through, hired about 3 different graphic artists until one could finally do it. And I do have that image available. I just don't have the disc with me right now. But remember what Bear Cloud, the indigenous elder that speaks at Star Knowledge conferences, he said once mankind understood that the seven-pointed star can reproduce itself as a whole unit, mind you, the old way, that seed of life goes from 7 circles that makes the seed. You got to go to 18 circles to complete the next whole image. This is only 7 more circles to reach the whole next level of evolution. Once you reach this level, you're going to start evolving at a very quick rate. But this is, like you said, a Stargate. It's almost like macro to micro, you know, down to actually human DNA. And that's interesting. There's no doubt that this communication, this one is encoded with the name Enki in ASCII binary code. So for the first time ever, I don't know why this isn't all over the news as well, but you know, the author of A Crop Circle left his signature, you know? And it's weird to me that,
how are our viewers going to apply that knowledge and technology in
you know
their
what,
daily
they don't even have to at this point. It's being sent to the moon by Elon Musk. You know what I mean? And
I see. Okay.
regardless, you know, if this technology revitalizes municipal tap water and brings through massive amounts of photonic light energy, it's going to turn all of the water on this planet into holy water, you know, for
So,
the next.
so does it mean that people who the Jabby Jabs, if you know what I'm saying, would they be healed? Would they be, because there's a lot of people who's gone for that voluntarily, unfortunately. So so if this has been sent, when was it sent to the moon to beam down on us? Is that going to naturally heal people who have been poisoned?
Absolutely. You know, just the fact alone, if someone stopped drinking municipal tap water and had a supply source of spring water, it would heal their mind, it would heal their bodies. And if you use it for agriculture, it'll heal this planet. It'll produce produce that is far more impervious to drought, larger yield faster, and more nutritional value per bite. Yeah, again, to me, you know, Dr. Emoto showed that water, if it takes on negative thought forms, it looks like mud. It looks like sludge. And if it's pure, clean spring water, then it takes on geometry of like a snowflake. And you know exactly what I'm talking about. Right there, it's the human thought form that turned the water into sludge in the first place. So if this technology can take water and bring its shine that has been dimmed back, and then that water is consumed, it should, I think how it would present itself in the human mind is when trial and tribulation comes into someone's life, there might be another thought form going, hey, you could look at it this way instead of that way. Doesn't mean they'll take it, but other more positive thought forms from the mass consciousness will enter their own mind. And you know how I've been told this too, and I've had some talks with the grandmothers from the Native American First Nations, because they always talk about free will. And what occurred to me is, if there is an infinite amount of probable realities from light to dark that we tune into through the law of attraction. Well, once you understand that your thoughts are creating your physical experience, thoughts, well, belief is thoughts, feelings, and emotions create our physical experience. Well, how do you, first of all, I understand that the Anunnaki understand that thoughts create reality, and thoughts have energy, and energy can't be created or destroyed. It needs to be transmuted into a higher octave. Well, how do you transmute a negative thought form? Well, you live it. That's part of their team. Will make sure if you choose a dark path, you'll get a chance to experience the folly of your dark thought form up close and personal, in hopes you'll change it, in hopes you'll choose love over fear. Because if you had transmuted that thought form in the first place, it wouldn't be recirculating. But for me, with the grandmother, I was talking about free will. If you understand these things, there's only one choice, and that is the most love-filled outcome for everyone involved. That's not free will. The only free will we have as humans is to choose something darker, that it might be not real dark, it might be just, and that's okay too, if that's what someone needs, then enjoy the ride and, stop and smell the flowers, I hope. But truly, the way out, and I'm not, so many people are like, oh, I can't wait to get the hell off this planet. I'm like, man, I love this planet. It's beautiful. Some of the people are bad hangs, but I love this planet, and I'm not so, I'm not so quick. I want to live another 1,000 years of human incarnation where we're not under the thumb of the evil cabal that's kept us in a survival state, fight or flight. And that's coming, by the way. Way too much to get into, but yeah, 2024 is a big part of that.
Sure. Thank you. All right. Thank you for all that information. I just wanted, before I go on with the next subject, I turn this over to Pontus and Fres. If you have any question to ask Michael about the 369 base 12 base 60 mathematics, over to you. Pontus, Fres, base 12. Yeah, Pontus.
Okay. Yeah, the base 12 lends it basically, if you were in base 9 and you go to base 12, 12 basically reduces back down to 3. So you begin again. You're just in a different group of numbers, and but they're related. Is what I'm trying. Is the point I'm trying to bring up for our audience.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. We've been in the R&D team. We've been going through a bunch of different forums, like you have. You've looked at cropsicles. We looked at things like flower of life and the different shapes that you can pick out, and that's a two-dimensional representation of a multi-dimensional image. And basically, you start with either triangles or squares, or you work your way through, or circles, and those all work into this. But what people miss is that it's actually multi-dimensional. If they can get to 3 dimensions, wow. And then the next thing is does the how do you reconcile all the components? And one of the things we started with was the point. You have to begin at one place. It has no mass, it has no area, it's just a point. And how many vectors can go through that point? How many numbers? Infinite.
Right.
Infinite number of points. Well, what is a line? What is a vector? Well, that's just a series of points that has no volume. It's got length, but it's got no width and it's got no depth. It's the one-dimensional line vector. And then from there you go to what is the building blocks of this? These are the questions that we ask when we look at these things. And they go, oh, the square is a really interesting one. Well, what's the square? You're actually in the second or third octave when you get to the square.
Mm.
It
So you
started
got
from
a
a,
Prince cube within
yeah,
the,
yeah, it's just that one spot. And then the next one above that, of course, is your dodecahedrons and larger, 5-sided, 6-sided, 7-sided. And what you brought up today was when you get up in those octaves, the next one in the line, of course, is the 7, and that shows up as your 7-point star. And I think the message that I'm talking kind of rattling here is this awareness that we start at a point and we branch out to many, many points.
yes.
How far do you want to expand your awareness, I think? And I'm going to drop it back at you.
Well, you know what, you're making me, I'm going to go grab the actual new 7-petaled seed of life. The seed of life that we all know of, that, Da Vinci showed us, is a 6-petaled seed of life. And I'm going to show you the 7-petaled in all of its glory, because first of all, it's never been seen by humanity before. That's exciting. When has brand new sacred geometry been presented that's never been seen? I'll be right back. It's right.
Right.
Hey, Michael, thank you. Actually, I did say that it would be nice if Michael could do some disclosure intel stuff. So we're gonna push him in there. We're gonna push him in there when he comes back.
Exciting.
So prepare your questions, folks.
And please put them into the chat box.
I had it right here all along.
Excellent.
I'm really because they told me to divide a circle by 7, showed me the arc. Then I asked them, and then I realized what was happening. See if I can get it to show up. Very man, it's hard. This one has very thin lines to can you even see that, like the 7-petaled seed?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they show up.
What I did was create it with holographic rainbow. I can send you guys just the image so you can see it. I made this disc that it depends on what perception of angle the color changes. So I figured it would be kind of like a interactive, that it's never the same color. It reflects the colors of the rainbow. But that's the actual new seed of life that so the old seed of life was 1 in the middle and 6 around. Like you said, you always got to start from somewhere. The 1 is the 1 circle in the middle. And then it goes 2 to a Vesca Piscis. And then, 6 around. If you look, this is using the exact same building blocks. Oh, wrong. But it's 7 around instead of 1 in the middle, 6 around. It's the Ouroboros. It's the snake eating its own tail. And it is all the exact same sacred geometry of Vesca Pisces. I got yelled at by a jeweler. He's like, it's Viscous. Viscous, not Pisces. But anyhow, to me, it hurts my head. Can you imagine a new dimension where cells take on 7 petals? It's the old one encodes the box, like you said. This is like in motion. It's kind of hard to wrap your head around, but I'm very proud of this because, like I said, it's like the one disc was like, they showed me half of it. It said, prove to us that you're getting what we're putting down. This and this are the, it's showing you half of that.
Yeah.
So this just came into fruition a couple months ago.
Michael, would you be putting up this designs on your website once it's up? Or are you going to put it on Facebook?
Oh yeah, you know what? I've shared it all on my Facebook, and I'm really bummed. I don't know what's going on with my website where I've lost access to my own website. So right now I gotta send them my ID and send them my charge that, from the website every month. I pay a charge and so on and so forth. I mean, sent through hoops. And I don't know what happened because I've had my website for years. And so I'm a little bummed by that, but within the next couple days, I'm sure I'm going to get it all. That's not possible for that to happen. People need access, but it is michaelleehill.net. If people want to contact me through Facebook, I'm at my 5,000 friends limit, which is silly. But, if you want to be a friend on there and check out what I got on there, leave me a personal message, because then I can just add you, because I still have maybe, I don't know, 100 slots or so. But right now I got like 2,000 friends waiting. And so if someone sends me a friend request, I probably am not going to get it. So
wow.
just send me
Okay, I'm putting
but
your link there on chat, okay? Okay, folks, here you are. This is Michael's Facebook link on the chat. Thank you. Cool. So there you go. It'd be nice. Yeah, I mean, you could email me.
Crystal,
designs
yeah,
and
you know
stuff.
what? I have all these designs, including the new seed of life, 7-petaled seed of life,
Wonderful.
all on my phone. I can send them all to you, and you can put
Oh,
them
please do. Thank you,
in.
Michael. I can share
Yeah.
with our R&D teams. Yes. Thank you. That's so wonderful. Yeah. I want to move on to other topics, right? So
Cool.
folks, I think some of you who are more interested in the ET side of things, the Anunnakis and all that, let me explain. Michael actually talked about the ACIO. You must be wondering what that is. That is the Advanced Contact Intelligence Organization under the NSA, which is the National Security Agency of the US. And we are talking about ACIO is based in Pine Gap, Australia, isn't it?
Yeah,
No,
some of it. Yeah,
some of
that's
it,
definitely
yeah.
one of their
Also,
bases.
Area 51 as well. Yeah.
Should I start at the beginning of just being contacted?
And you've been contacted on year 2008, right?
Yes.
And then
Yes.
you got in touch with A.R. Gordon, who was the director at that time, the late A.R. Gordon, who was the director of the ACIO then, right?
Yeah, he was he was the director of those programs and of the remote viewers. And they found, to communicate with extraterrestrials, you needed to be very adept with telepathy. They called it topological thinking, because, dealing in communication with an extraterrestrial, some of the communication could be crop circles. You know what I'm saying? It's not what you think it's going to be. But
Michael, let me
actually,
ask one question. What led you to the ACIO? Did they contact you, or did you contact them, or after you got your fame with the History Channel and Fox News and all that, after your videos been published and went viral?
what happened was in the 1990s, like Spirit led me to the Wingmakers site.
Yes.
And
That's where I went.
I became enamored with that site. And there's what's called the Dr. Neruda interviews. And I just started reading the Dr. Neruda interviews, but anytime a name was given, I would go and search that name. And sure enough, it's a real person, and it's exactly in the position that they were in. And over again, when specifics were given in those Dr. Neruda interviews, I paid attention. But as you said, there was a subject called LERM, which is light encoded reality matrix. And that is, they actually got it from studying Tibetan monks, and they call them tulpas. And the monks could put their mind, and a revered monk with such strength that monk would appear in the physical as a fully functioning person. They weren't bringing through the personality and stuff. It seemed just to be part of the template, that when it came from a higher realm and manifested here, it was a full functioning person. Well, the ACIO said, well, if a Tibetan monk can do it, then all of us should be able to do that, because we're all one. And that began this technology of light encoded reality matrix, which is, you know, Apple, and an apple shows up. As you said, you're talking about the Dr. Neruda interviews, and where it talks about Neruda manifesting a stack of money for the reporter right in front of her eyes.
Hang on, that was Dr. Anderson. And later on,
It is Dr. Neruda. They changed the name at the beginning to track leaks and see where this information was going to. His true name is Neruda, but they changed it to Anderson originally, just to see, well, if this gets leaked and it's Dr. Anderson, they know what path this came out of, and they're trying to track this down.
And you have learned that technology yourself. A.R. Bolton taught you how to manifest.
Actually, no. Isn't that interesting? I taught myself. Well, not really. I taught myself by becoming a student of the Seth material channeled by Jane Roberts. And early in my life, I became obsessed with the Seth material, which is all understanding thoughts create reality, you know, and how to manifest realities that you want. And so it is worm. But the funny thing is, you know, I've been put forth as the poster child for learning this from A.R. Bolton, and I didn't. He knew too. We talked about this a lot. He said, Michael, there's not too many people on this planet that can tune in at will. And those that can are noticed, and so you were. Tuning in at will is being able to hit zero and take away external dialogue coming in from the mass, and then focus your intent into truly, like I said, there's only one most love-filled outcome available out of all, and the red road, you know, the Native American Indians call it, to focus that intently. But then you got to learn to also let it go, and really let it go, because if you start worrying about it, you'll hassle it, you know, like you'll start to think, am I trying to change rock bed reality? I'll tell you what happened was I started to realize these things, and
Can I stop you there, Michael? Sorry,
Right.
this is getting very interesting. I think everyone's all ears and everyone's saying, how much time have you got, Michael? Do you have another? Okay, cool.
I got as long as you need.
Can I do a second part? This is the first part, because YouTube, if we were to have Odyssey mirroring YouTube, it can't go over the 2 hour length. So can we do a second part? So, okay, folks, stay tuned. We are going to take a minute toilet break, party break.
That sounds good. I'm gonna get a glass of water.
And then we're going to continue with this conversation with Michael. It's going to be a conversation. It's very casual. Everybody, the second part will be the Q&A, and everybody can participate in like interviewing Michael.
I'll tell you what, right? How about right now? I'm going to send you all those graphics.
Sure. Right now, sorry, say that again.
Right now, I'm going to send you all those graphics to the
Wonderful, wonderful.
Right.
And we will be talking about the SSP, the connection with the ACIO, NSA, the Labyrinth group, and the advanced technologies beyond the SSP. Okay.
Perfect.
So stay tuned, folks. It will be interesting. And okay, so I think we can stop recording now. So this is the first part, and we're going to do the second part. Thank you, Pontus. If you could stop recording.